official, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome into the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaX Sports. I'm Martin Houston. That's Xavier Houston on the other side. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling right here on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC. We're also streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can follow the Martin Houston 35, Martin Houston 35 fan page on Facebook, and at Martin Houston 35 on YouTube and Twitter, or the X, whichever way you refer to it. We are live and local and streaming in all those ways, and would love to have you join the conversation as we prepare to go inside the playbook today. The playbook includes Kennington Smith III, who will join us in the second quarter. We'll talk Bama versus LSU in general. We'll talk keys to victory. We'll talk about what Bama accomplished during the bye week. We'll talk about thoughts on the college football playoffs initial rankings. We'll have those conversations and more. So we can look around the SEC. We can look at what happened in college football around the weekend, how Bama may have even grown in the eyes of the voters, both AP coaches and the world of college football playoff committee. Did the Bama Crimson Tide grow in that time off? As we continue to move forward and walk through things, I want to invite you to get in on the conversation at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. It's open for business. You can also send your comments, reactions, and questions in the live stream chat. So let us hear from you over there. Welcome in to the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaX Sports, your show, your team. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Once again, that Alabama One hotline is 205-342-9904. And you can send your comments, reactions, questions, thoughts, etc. in the live stream chat. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you? Enjoy your weekend?
Doing well. Wasn't long enough, but did enjoy some time. It was business, but still did get away a little bit. Thank you and Noah and Kennington and DC for handling business while I was out. Only listen. I did better. I usually, like wake up and still listen and stay tuned for the whole show. This time I just, tuned in for a couple minutes, heard things going good, made a couple suggestions, and then went back to, I tried to go back to sleep, but I did not continue to listen. So, but you guys did an awesome job. I appreciate it. And thanks to the whole crew for keeping things rolling.
No problem. Always fun.
All right. Well, and then of course I sometimes Wyatt is kind of quiet. Wyatt is I want to make sure I get the whole team in there. Wyatt, he's also, I guess, Wyatt is he's kind of like the fullback X of the team. He he has to be ready to step in and run it when he needs to, block when he needs to, catch a pass. But somebody else gets a lot of the credit. So thank you, Wyatt. Appreciate you as well. Great crew behind the scenes. As we move forward, X, you guys did a lot of talk last week about grades, and I thought that was a neat way you guys did the state of. Um, and I'll probably ask Kennington the same question. What was y'all's biggest takeaway from the state of in terms of we can kind of tie it in with what Bama accomplished last week, you hope?
Yeah, for me it was actually looking at where some of the strong suits of this team are that I necessarily wasn't expecting at the beginning of the season, but within the same breath, where some of the weaknesses are on the team that I thought were going to be strengths. And what I mean by that is a weakness that I thought was going to be a strength was the offensive line. And there's things moving in the right direction, but still a lot of growth needed. But as well as I thought Jalen Milroe's strength of this season was going to be his legs as he was learning to play the game at the collegiate level as the full-time guy, as the starter. And it turns out to be his deep ball, and his decision making has progressed by the week. So that's a couple things that I have found interesting throughout this process.
Yeah, good insight there. When we started the season, we probably what we need to do next time, and I think we did it. I just didn't keep it. We talked about the grades, um, and where we thought they would be by the end of the season. And one of the groups, and I'm going to ask Kennington this because one of the differences when I asked him at the beginning of the season, so I'm not going to go into detail right now, was what he thought the difference was between Bama and Georgia. And he gave Georgia an edge based on their wide receivers and their receiving core. And so I just wonder how he feels about Alabama's receiving core versus Georgia's right now. And so we can talk about that when he joins us in the next segment. But for me, I kind of agree with you. I'm still not convinced, and this is going to sound crazy. Don't anybody drive off a cliff or anything like that. Don't turn the radio off and think I've lost my mind. I'm still not completely off the bandwagon that this offensive line can't be something special in a certain sense. Um, one of the things that I'm going to ask both you and Kennington is, what do you think Alabama's biggest accomplishment was during the bye week? And I'm thinking this offensive line could be the group we see the biggest jump from one week to the next. I'm just because you said you felt like it could be a strength, but I think that resides not in their talent, because it's not like we're gonna find some new talent. I think it's gonna come. I think it's gonna come from our OC and his ability to do things right.
Yeah.
I literally think that's what it's going to come down to. I think that this OC holds the key to what we do, and what I mean by that, yes, they're gonna work on that whole pass block set, and I think they're gonna be able, after 2 weeks, to finally get this freshman to understand. Hey, you got help to the inside. Just over. It's almost like they're gonna teach him during the bye week. Over exaggerate stepping out to the left. We're gonna help you to the inside. Over exaggerate, and then I think they're also gonna lock down that the chip blocking. With that said, X, I think you'll see an opportunity for us to run the ball better and have better pass blocking. Your thoughts, real quick, before we get the break on that, and then we'll keep the conversation going when we're at Kennington in.
I definitely think that this is the week to get those bugs worked out and to not just for the left tackle, but I think we'll see maybe a little bit better snapping from Seth. Maybe that hand having a week off to heal, it'll improve things there, as well as who's actually going to be that right guard. Dalcourt's been injured. Ferguson's been injured. Roberts has played great there. But who's really the starting right guard for Alabama at this point? So I think it's going to be an interesting thing to see what was done over this bye week.
All right. We'll talk about that and more. We'll add Kennington Smith III to the conversation. We like to add you to the conversation, 205-342-9904. Or you can also put your comments, your reactions, and your questions in the live stream chat. We'd love to hear from you. As we go to break, remember Taco Casa, quality, taste, and value under the biggest cactus in town. They do it the right way each and every day. They've been doing it that way for 40-plus years and counting. Stop by one of their locations for lunch and or dinner. That's Taco Casa, tacocasa.com.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Things pretty quiet on the roadways as we begin our Monday morning. Everything looks good. If you see conditions, of course, give me a call, 205-886-8886. The month-end countdown means more instant savings for you at Townsend Nissan. Grab a deal today. I'm Captain Ray.
Hi, Barry Buckner here, and I want to say whether you come from T-Town or Birmingham or those sweet home Alabama towns like Utah, Demopolis, Selma, and Centerville, it's an honor and a privilege to have you choose Tuscaloosa Hyundai as your transportation partner. I know those roads. You drove past more than one competitive dealership to get here. So let me say, whatever you need, Tuscaloosa Hyundai is at your service. You want to test drive an electric vehicle? Hyundai Ioniq 5 and 6 are award-winning. Bigger ride for your growing family? Test drive the Palisade. Need a pre-owned vehicle under 100,000 miles? Great choice with our 1,000,000-mile warranty protection, no charge. No matter where you come from, no matter what you need. It's an honor and a privilege to serve friends and family who voted us best of the best. If you want to pay more, that's your business. If you want to save, that's our business. Tuscaloosa Hyundai, corner of Skyland and Hargrove, TuscaloosaHyundai.com.
This Alabama football season, join Kerry Clark, Mark McGriff, and Matt Coulter for the most comprehensive postgame coverage of the Crimson Tide. The Tide Postgame Show, live from Walk-On Sports Bistro. Walk-Ons, 675 Skyland Boulevard, Tuscaloosa. Scratch-made dishes, wall-to-wall TVs, burgers, bone-in wings, salads, and gumbo. The Tide 100.9 and 95.3 The Bear Tide Postgame Show will be live after every Bama football game. Catch Coach Saban's postgame press conference and the Walk-Ons keys to the game. Plus, we'll take your phone calls live. Walk-On Sports Bistro for the win. 675 Skyland Boulevard, Tuscaloosa. And online at walkons.com. Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The coldest air so far this season blowing in here. Mostly cloudy and breezy. The chance of some scattered light rain. Temperatures falling into the 50s this afternoon. Tonight cloudy with the low at 44. And tomorrow gradual clearing, the high 56. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 62 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports. We're live, local, and got things rolling as we continue the conversation. I want to invite you to go stop by Billy's Cooking Restaurant. Billy's Cooking Restaurant located in Holt, Alabama, 3702 Alabama Avenue Northeast. Check them out. Go ahead. And, hey, man, it's going to be a big tailgate weekend. Go ahead and get a jump on the competition by getting those game day specials. You can start off feeding 15, 25, 50, up to you. But Billy is there to help you with those game day specials. wings and rib combo game day specials. Go check them out. Open on Wednesday through Sunday, starting at 11 a.m. So give them a call. Also have Wing Wednesday, Fish Friday, and Soul Food Sunday. 205-632-8617. Oh, man. As we keep the conversation going, we're going to bring Kennington Smith III into the conversation. Good morning, Kennington. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Doing well, man. Hey, thanks for jumping in there and stepping in and taking care of business last Thursday. Appreciate you, sir.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you for having me on. I was telling Xavier, I don't have a national championship fancy intro like you do, which is an impressive intro, by the way. But hopefully I did the job well. So appreciate you having me on and looking forward to more appearances.
Yeah, you definitely did well. So we're glad to have you as a part of the team, man. And we'll keep things rolling. Well, got several different topics. Want to get to you. First of all, we want to circle back on some of what Bama accomplished maybe during the bye week, and then just Bama LSU in general, keys to victory there, and then also maybe talk a little bit about Bama makes a jump in the polls on a bye week. Things have kind of set themselves up for Bama. I think if they went out now that Oklahoma lost, we can cheer for them to beat Texas next time, and all of those things. So I love to see where you think those rankings are. So we'll get to that. But the question I had for you, Kennington, is what do you think Bama's biggest accomplishment was during the bye week, as far as what they wanted to come? What do you think the biggest thing they accomplished during the bye week?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest thing was by way of a couple of guys being a little banged up and not practicing during the week, it allowed for potentially some rooms to get a little bit deeper and maybe some guys to get some opportunities. I'm thinking about the running back room specifically. Jason McClellan was banged up going into the Tennessee game. Nick Saban said that after the game, and then he said on his radio show that there have been a couple of starters who didn't practice during the bye week to get healthy. I imagine that Jason's one of those guys. So when you think about a Sam Miller and a Justice Haynes, the opportunity to get a lot more reps than they would have during the bye week, hopefully earn the trust of some coaches, improving their pass protection, and we might see them get some opportunities in the second half of this season. So I think that was probably the biggest thing is just there are some guys that we've been, wanting to see, maybe hoping that they would step up on the depth chart, and they got an opportunity to get some more reps during the bye week. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out this weekend and in the weekends moving forward.
Yeah, X, what do you think your biggest, what would you say is your biggest accomplishment you think that we're going to see, like, it's going to show up on the field on Saturday?
Guys are getting healthy, just, some of the small nicks and bumps that accumulate over the course of the season. It gives those guys a chance to kind of breathe, relax, still be engaged to a certain degree, but they don't have to necessarily take the beating that you do in a regular week of preparing. So I think fresh bodies is going to be the biggest advantage for the last 4 game stretch.
Yeah, and both of you guys, I think, are correct in a couple ways. First of all, I think physical health, without a doubt. Physical health was key in it, but as you rest physical health, having been through the grind of an SEC season, you start to get to a point where you're tired of hitting, and they don't play near as physical as we did at practice, especially just because of limitations and different things like that. So you wanted that physical break, but the physical break would give you a mental break. And you did a lot of walkthrough and getting like really time to process the mental aspect of what they're asking you to do versus just going out on the field and trying to execute it physically. You get to walk through it, and then you get to rep it at 3/4 speed, and then full speed ultimately. So I think that thing. So I think Bama probably got better in a lot of areas, but I'm going to say that the O-line to me, Kennington, and this is what I was saying, I believe that if Saban does what he says he does, there was some self-evaluation, and he said something about, that the bye week was about correction, about tendencies, about quality control, and self-analysis. With that being said, how much self-analysis do you think was done by our offensive coordinator, and the resulting impact of that? My group that I think we're going to see the biggest difference is the offensive line, because of the play calling. It's going to fit what they do better, going to fit what our quarterback does better, and these young men haven't had that mental break. So do you think that when I look at that, I think all four of those apply to Tommy Rees: correction, tendency, quality control, and self-analysis?
Yeah, 100%. And I'll say this about Tommy Rees. Slowly but surely, he's starting to figure some things out. The last couple of weeks, you started to see a little bit more creativity. We're starting to see some different looks, both in the pass game and the run game. And that's another place, to your point, improvement out of the bye week. Maybe you see Tommy Rees a lot more comfortable with the flow of the game, with his personnel. You might see a little bit more variety in the play calls. As far as the offensive line, I think that they're starting to kind of figure things out. And I think, coming out of this bye week, there might be even more adjustments to kind of help them out. We've been talking about tight end chipping for several weeks now, and they did it over 30 times against Tennessee, and really helped Caden Proctor out. Of a couple of those chips led to some big plays down the field, especially on Isaiah Bond's touchdown. So, also with X's point about the health, the fact that, after this bye week, I would imagine that, both Darian Dalcourt and Terrence Ferguson, if they're not 100%, then they are pretty close to 100%, and you feel like now the offensive line is at full tilt health, similar to the beginning of the year. But now you have that experience of 7-8 games to get some reps and really know where you're strong, where you're weak at, and the adjustments that you need to make from there. So I agree with you that I think the offensive line is probably the group that you're looking at as making the biggest jump. And if they can resemble the group that had the really high preseason expectations, then you have to look at Alabama as not only a legitimate SEC championship contender, but a playoff contender as well.
Yes, and so X, who's the first five on the O-line?
Ooh, that's a good question. My first five, I think you have to keep it where it's been the last couple of weeks, because I feel like there's been a lot of success. And that, of course, would be Proctor, Booker, McLaughlin, Roberts, Latham. But personally, I would love to see what you would get out of Terrence Ferguson on that right side between McLaughlin and Latham. But I just don't know with the rhythm that you've gotten with Roberts, and that he's a big nasty dude himself. But I'm going to go with Roberts for right now.
Who do you think in terms of that O-line, Kennington?
I'm inclined to agree. I feel the same way. You really want to get Terrence Ferguson in there, because when he's played, he's been really good. But the momentum that Roberts is playing with right now, I mean, he's been really solid, especially in the run game. You don't want to mess with that momentum. I do think that Terrence Ferguson is probably going to get some snap rotations. I could see something like, Elijah Pritchett, when he was stuck with Caden Proctor, coming in every fourth series, maybe playing 15 to 20 plays, something like that. I could see that for Terrence Ferguson, just kind of getting him back into the flow, because I do feel like he's earned playing time, even going back to fall camp when he got really high reviews from the coaching staff. So I would keep the same five as it is, but I would think that Ferguson gets some rotational snaps similar to what we saw with Elijah Pritchett and Caden Proctor moving forward.
Yeah, and this is now I'm going to throw a wrench out there. I don't think you see this at the start, but is it possible that if Proctor struggles, that they work Booker some at left tackle, and now they could put Ferguson who's also played left guard in possibly as the backup versus Pritchett? Kennington?
Ooh.
It's possible. It's possible. Yeah. I mean, if there was ever a time to try to work him there, it would be during the bye week. I feel like someone in an availability a couple weeks ago asked Tyler Booker if they had approached him about playing tackle. He said no at that point, but it was, at least 2 or 3 weeks ago. So if there was ever a moment, this would be it. And Booker's playing at an extremely high level right now. You're talking about, his confidence, everything is through the roof. So I feel like, even if they did slide out to left tackle this late in the season, it wouldn't be too steep of a climb for him, just the way that he's playing right now. So I could see that, definitely.
X.
The only thing that concerns me about that is his Booker put on too much weight.
I still think he's I still think he's the most athletic guy on the line. He's bigger, but he still has the best feet, best hands. He still, when he pulls, he's bigger, but he still looks good when those few times we've asked him to pull around and lead, he still seems to can get there. So I don't think they would move him as the starter. I'm saying, did they try the combo thing? And with his talent and skill set, is he good enough to step out there at left tackle? Ferguson has already been playing left guard. So if he's healthy, do you go there, and does that give you a better chance than Pritchett coming in? You have to really. If it was me, I would have worked really hard with Proctor in the off week to get that. Hey, kick out, son, kick out. You got help to the inside, fan to the left. Don't get beat outside because that's where he gets beat a lot. But man, if that were to me, not start him, but have him there just in case we struggle, because LSU right now, I'm telling you, I tell you what, we're going to go to break. Let's talk about what LSU did, or what will LSU's defense do in their preparation leading up to Alabama. We'll ask you that question. You're able to respond by sending your comments, reactions, or questions into the chat, or you can call us at 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Things pretty quiet on the roadways as we begin our Monday morning. Everything looks good. If you see conditions, of course, give me a call, 205-886-8886. The month-end countdown means more instant savings for you at Townsend Nissan. Grab a deal today. I'm Captain Ray.
Holiday preppers unite. A season full of merry starts now at JCPenney. With your fave home brands all in one place, it's easy to find your hosting groove. Like the tablescape that's worth the toast, and the home that brings everyone together. Feed the chef with upgrades from Cooks, Cuisinart, and Martha Stewart. Cozy up the guest suites with Home Expressions, Linden Street, and Liz Claiborne. And matching family PJs make holiday cards a cinch. Check off your list early and sweeten the deals even more. Make your holidays count. JCPenney.
Nissan has a car for everyone, for every driver who wants more, whatever that more may be. More action, more guts, more turbocharged excitement. The Nissan Z and GTR put together power and style into a perfect combination. Your adrenaline will kick in when you take advantage of Nissan Z and GTR's launch control. Launch control takes the car from a complete stop to a powerful boost without hesitation. When you drive a Nissan, there is no compromising your next adventure. At Nissan, more is all they do. So get your endless thrills in a new Nissan today.
They're back. The 2023 Alabama Crimson Tide football season is on Tide 100.9. Saturdays are game day all day, starting with the Tide 100.9 tailgate show, hosted by DC and former Tide star Christian Miller. Listen as they take you to the sideline and the locker room for all the latest game day news and insights that will get every Tide fan ready for kickoff. Don't miss the Tide tailgate show with DC and Christian Miller on Tide 100.9, powered by Pearl River Resort, your destination for casino thrills, family fun, and live entertainment.
It's back, the Captain Ray and Randy College Football Forecast Show, where we pick the winners against the spread. Join me and Randy Smalley Friday evenings at 11 right here on Tide 100.9. 15 minutes of fun and information. It's presented by Randy Smalley Floor and Tile.
Looking for corporate housing in Tuscaloosa? Sealy Corporate Living is the answer. With furnished apartments plus great amenities, enjoy comfortable living for much less than an extended stay hotel. Call Stone Creek at 205-391-6040 today to learn more.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin Xavier, powered by MaX Sports. We have Kennington Smith III on the line. If you want to talk with him directly, you can call us at 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. Or you can send your thoughts, your comments, your reaction, your questions into the live chat, and we'll work that into the conversation. Just a couple of thoughts out there. Blind Squirrel Sport, we're in bad shape over here because he's asking, can Tommy Rees take a few notes from Mike Bobo? If we're taking notes from Mike Bobo as an OC, we're hurting. But even without Brock Bowers, Georgia tallied 43 points. Correct. That I'm being messy. But anyway, another great comment we had coming from Ronnie in Olar, South Carolina on the app. He said, I feel like a key to victory is put a spy on Daniels, pressure him and make him rush passes. So we could talk about Key's victory in a minute. Milroe is getting better, a lot better, doing more reads, but he needs to tuck it and run quicker if receivers aren't open and get rid of the ball quicker. Roll Tide. That's Ronnie from Olar, South Carolina. Thanks for those comments. Back to what we were saying just a moment ago. Kennington, when you look at this LSU team, if you're facing Alabama with the weapons they have on defense and the fact that they're not really good on the back end as far as their defense is concerned, what would you have done in preparation in the bye week?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about from the defense perspective of attacking, Alabama's offense, I would just really target the left side of that line, go to blitzes on that left side. You mentioned, Caden Proctor's slide protection, fan blocking before the break. He's given up a sack in that type of situation in 3 consecutive weeks. The Texas A&M, Arkansas, Tennessee as well. So putting speed on the left side, trying to overload that side of the offensive line, and really just putting pressure on Jalen Milroe. LSU is really weak in the back part of their defense. They have injuries all over that secondary. So Jalen Milroe has time to throw. He will hit some deep passes down the field on LSU secondary, and Alabama will be able to score some points and get some vertical plays down the field. So if I'm LSU, looking at the tape from Texas A&M, I'm looking at past games where elaborate blitz schemes have been able to confuse Alabama's offensive line, and hope that you can get pressure that way, because Mekhi Wingo, big defensive tackle for LSU, he's been out. He hasn't been, practicing. We'll see his status early this week, but even the interior of LSU's defensive line is a little bit weak. So trying to manufacture pressure in different ways and, get the ball out of Jalen Milroe's hands quickly and prevent him from looking downfield is probably what I would do if I was LSU's defense.
X, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, if I'm LSU, I'm putting Harold Perkins on that left side of Alabama's offensive line, and I'm just saying, go get the quarterback. It's that simple. Until Caden Proctor can prove that he can do something else, or that Alabama shows that they're going to continuously have a tight end on that side to chip. And they can provide pressure up the middle, but if Alabama is able to just get a hand on Perkins, get a hand on that middle, these DBs, it's a lot of injuries and a lot of youth on that back end. It could be very advantageous to what Jalen Milroe and these wide receivers like to do, getting the ball down the field.
Yep, and Blind Squirrel Sport, thinking the same lines as you guys. LSU defensive back is a huge factor. Could the injuries be a huge factor? A couple of weeks ago, they had speculation that 4 guys may miss, and they got some transfers in, and those transfers have not been able to stay healthy and make it onto the field. Here's the thing. I agree with you guys. If I'm at LSU, I'm preparing to put Perkins on that left side. So if you're Alabama, what do you do to counter that? To me, it's kind of simple. When you have a guy like him that likes to get up the field, there's a couple things you can do. One is we talk about the chip block. If you're passing the ball, you sacrifice the fifth wide receiver. You chip him, or you build in delay routes where the tight end is a delay route and you chip, or the running back is a delay swing or a flat route or shoot route based on what you call it. You know what else you do? You do two things, Kennington, and give me your thoughts here. You run right at it because he's trying to get upfield. So let's help him. Proctor, just run him up the field. Either you have two backs in the backfield, or you run right at it and you let Booker get up in there on that linebacker. You run right at it. All right, that's number one. Or watch this, guys. Force them to use Perkins, who, if you watch, he's your spy guy. Take him out of the pass rush game by using Jalen Milroe in the run game. Make them spy Jalen Milroe. If you don't make them spy Jalen Milroe, then he can be effective in the pass game. If you make him spy, maybe they lose their best pass rusher and you kill two birds with one stone. Thoughts, Kennington?
Yeah, I agree with you. And then building off of that, not only implementing Milroe in the pass game, but then using those same looks to come back to the RPO and really put LSU's defense on their heels. We saw a little bit of that against Tennessee, that little cross slider to Isaiah Bond in the red zone. That was really kind of like the first time that I've really seen an RPO look that looks similar to what Bryce Young ran the last few years. But I agree with you. You start by putting Jalen Milroe in the run game. We saw those looks against Tennessee, and they worked really well. And then using that to build off of that, go to the RPO, get LSU's pass rushers on their heels is the strategy that I would use with Alabama. And then, of course, to your point, using those chip blocks, those max protect looks that have worked well for Alabama. You're talking about sacrificing a receiver, but even keeping a running back and keeping either Oots or Dupree inside the pocket and just letting Bond and Burton, make a play has netted some good results for Alabama. So I wouldn't be too concerned about sacrificing a receiver if Jalen Milroe is going to have the time. So I agree with you on your getting him in the run game soft, and then my addition would just be to use that to build an RPO game as well.
Yep. And then following up with that, we have to get to the other side because it's strength on strength. If our defense don't show up, or if their offense doesn't show up, then the other team advantage the other team, right? So when you look at our defense against their offense, what are you looking for from a keys to victory standpoint there?
Yeah, I think Xavier kind of hit it on the head, or it might have been you, about spying Jaden Daniels, but in addition to spying, making sure that you're filling the rushing lanes correctly. I feel like the last 2 weeks with both Joe Milton and KJ Jefferson, they've been able to escape the pocket just because there's been nobody accounting for them in the middle of the field. But then also, there's not a contain on the edge that just kind of allows the quarterback to run around and then get a first down to the edge. So I think it's a two-pronged thing. At that point, you have to be able to first continue to get pressure with your front four like they've been doing, but making sure you're filling the correct rushing lanes and having somebody that is consistently accounting for Jaden Daniels. That Alabama has seen dual-threaded rushing quarterbacks in a capacity with Jefferson and Joe Milton, but Jaden Daniels statistically is the best running quarterback in the country. If you look at his yards per carry, his yards, he's almost LSU's leading rusher. So he is, the focal point of their offense in both facets. So you have to make sure that you're accounting for him at all times. And then obviously on the back end, it's going to be a big game for communication, and it's going to be a big dime package game. I think, LSU likes to put a lot of receivers on the field. So, I'm looking at guys like Trey Amos, who's been playing well the last few weeks in kind of a spot role, filling in for Malachi Moore, et cetera. It's going to be a really big game for him. A really big game for the rest of the defensive backs to try to contain LSU's receivers.
Yeah, I think without a doubt you're nailing it with Daniels. I have thoughts on that. Actually, he kind of alluded to it. LSU, the difference between the previous two games and Jayden is Jayden has some serious weapons on the outside in terms of his receivers. So what are you taking away? You have to take away something. Or are you taking away his legs or his arms?
I'm going to take away his legs. I believe in our secondary, and I believe that they're, with the guys that we have, Terrion and Malachi and Kool-Aid and the group of safeties that we rotate through, I believe those guys are talented enough to be able to slow down this LSU passing attack. But where he becomes dangerous is when he's able to take off and gain chunk plays. Because if you look at a lot of his runs, they're chunk. 15, 20, 30-yard runs that move the ball down the field, and then it's, sucking the defense up to make the plays. My opinion, Jahad Campbell has to be on the field a lot this week. He has to be that spy that allows Deontay, who's our best in coverage linebacker, in my opinion, to still be able to flow with the tight ends and things of that nature. But then Braswell and Turner have to be able to collapse that pocket, send him up the middle to where Campbell is there to make plays.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see how Alabama plays the pass. Will they, Kennington, will they try to sack the quarterback, or will they just try to get pressure? Because one of the things that happens when you try to sack the quarterback, you almost create the running lanes, especially if the outside guys that I was talking about earlier let Perkins get up the field. If they don't move the pocket, and as you said, anytime we run a loop, our defensive tackles never get to the outside. Whether it's Tim Smith, Borgby, they don't do good on the contain. We always get pressure, but they escape to the outside. So if we run that loop, defensive end, DT loop, with them, we're going to have to make sure we get to the quarterback and then contain him. Quick question, Kennington. Xavier mentioned it was going to be my follow-up question. Has Jahad Campbell potentially, even though Marshall was hurt and you don't usually lose your job, is there any way Jahad Campbell is not the starter at linebacker this week?
I don't think so. I mean, the level of confidence that he is playing with right now is really notable, and the growth that he's shown week over week has been noticeable as well. When he started and played with Deontay Lawson against Mississippi State, he played well, and he might have even led the team in tackles.
He did.
But there were several times where he was not in the correct gap or not in the correct rush lane, and that led to some big games by Mississippi State. There were some times where he wasn't correctly identifying the tight end, and then you see it against Tennessee, and he was filling those gaps correctly, and he was, covering the right man, and his recognition was on point. And that's what you want to see from a young player, somebody who got an opportunity and then got a chance to, watch the film. And then when Marshall came back, his snap count, dropped a bit. And then the next time he had an opportunity, he took advantage of it. So
yeah,
I do think it's going to be a big Jahad Campbell game. I do think Trezor Marshall is going to play as well, because he's played well as well, and he's earned the right to be out there. So what we wanted, to see, I think, in fall camp of, that inside linebacker competition, and hopefully there will be 3 really playable guys, has come to fruition. So I do think it's going to be a big Jahad Campbell game. I do expect to see Trezor Marshall out there as well, though.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I would say the 2 times he started, he led the team with 14, and then last week he had 10 tackles and a scoop 6. So the guy flashes every time he's on the field, so you have to get him out there. If he's not the starter, he's definitely going to play early and often. Coming back on the other side, we'll let Kennington put any finishing thoughts he has on specifically Bama versus LSU. Then we'll get his thoughts from this past weekend in the AP poll in terms of where Bama finished in, college football playoff initial rankings. Those conversations and more right here on the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaX Sports. Hey, go check out Alabama One, alabama1.org. Last day to get in on the getaway giveaway. Last day. you need a loan or need to make a deposit, either one of those will get you an opportunity to win a $1,000 giveaway or a $5,000 grand prize giveaway. Go check them out, alabama1.org. That's alabama1.org. Alabama one together. What's your one?
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we've got a wreck reported on Raleigh northbound at McFarland and Northport. You can expect delays there. Otherwise, things looking pretty good. If you see conditions, of course, give me a call. The month-end countdown means more instant savings for you at Townsend Nissan. Grab a deal today. I'm Captain Ray.
A healthy weight, more energy, and smooth, regular bowel movements. 3 things everyone strives for.
It's me, Chuck Norris. There's one really important thing we don't talk about enough: our health. Achy joints, digestive issues, weight gain, and fatigue. We're told these are normal signs of aging. So working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick.
Morning Kick is a revolutionary formula combining 10 different supplements in one. Probiotics that help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and several of the most powerful anti-aging supplements on earth. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, focused, and help manage stress.
Anybody can achieve great health regardless of their age.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com. Use code SUPPORT or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off today.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511. Morning Kick. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
If you fish, make your plans to fish the no entry fee Inglewood Baptist Church Bass Tournament November the 11th on Lake Tuscaloosa with a $7,000 total purse guaranteed. To register, text your name and partner's full name to 205-792-7398. You can also register at the pre-tournament meeting November the 9th. Both tournament participants must attend the pre-tournament meeting even if you are pre-registered. To register, text your name and partner's full name to 205-792-7398.
Lowe's knows pros want savings now. That's why, as an MVP's Pro Rewards member, you get volume savings on orders of $1,500 or more at the Pro Desk. And there's more. We've lowered our prices on select top products like electrical wire and drywall, so you can get the job necessities for less. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. In-store only. Exclusions, restrictions, and more terms apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Don't miss your chance to win at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Open 24/7, so come on in for nonstop gaming action. You'll find the latest, hottest, most exciting games around, and you'll love the fun bonuses and big jackpots. Plus, you can watch and wager on horse and greyhound races from all over the world. Your best bet for big wins is just minutes away at Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where you can be a winner too. Birmingham Racecourse Casino off I-459, exit 31 Derby Parkway. Must be 21 or older. Your best bet for big wins is just minutes away at Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where you can be a winner too. Off I-459, exit 31 Derby Parkway.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back in to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports. We got Kennington Smith III of The Athletic on with us. Kennington, tell them where they can find you, sir.
Yeah, on X/Twitter at skinnykenny_theathletic.com, or if you have, if you use mobile devices or mobile apps, the Athletic app, Kennington Smith III, or you can search Alabama football and we'll get you right.
Yes, sir. What you got coming up this week? What you going to focus on this week potentially?
Yeah, so we got a subscriber mailbag coming out later today. I'm going to be doing an analysis on the first college football playoff rankings and what that means for Alabama, Georgia, the rest of the SEC. We're going to do 4 keys and a prediction for the LSU game, and some player features throughout the week as well.
All right. Hey, well, let's tease a little bit. Give me you got 4. Give me 1 or 2 of those that you want to share with the audience. Keys to victory for Alabama over LSU.
Yeah, I think one of I was referencing earlier a big dime package game. I think it's going to be a really big game for Caleb Downs. My opinion this is the first game that Alabama has played since Texas where there's going to be equal caliber athletes at receiver compared to what Bama has in the secondary. When I was thinking back to that Texas game, that was a game where Steve Sarkisian targeted Caleb Downs, quite a bit. One of them resulted in a touchdown. And understanding that was Caleb's second college game, the growth that he's shown week after week has been tremendous. And he's, is Alabama's leading tackler, one of the leading tacklers in the SEC. And I feel like this is going to be a big game for him, whether Brian Kelly decides to target him or whether, Caleb Downs is just going to insert himself into the game and make a big play. I think that his role on Saturday is going to be one of the big keys to victory.
All right. What about anything else you want to share on that front?
Excuse me?
I said, ask anything else you want to share on that front before I get your thoughts on where Bama sits. You said you also going to be talking a little bit about the initial rankings that come out tomorrow with the college football playoffs.
Yeah. Really big selection show tomorrow. Honestly, I think when you think about the college football playoffs this year compared to past years, it's going to be interesting to see if the SEC gets the benefit of the doubt that they've had in years past. What does the committee think about Georgia undefeated but has had some low moments? What does the committee think about Bama's loss to Texas and how they've responded? How quality of a win do they see Ole Miss, who is quietly 7-1 as well? So really big reveal show tomorrow night. And I think it'll be really interesting to try to navigate Bama's pathway to the playoffs from there.
Yeah, and speaking of that, with what happened over this weekend, Bama sitting at number 8, moving up in the polls. In front of them, Texas at 7, Oregon at 6, Washington at 5, then top 4, Florida State, Ohio State, Michigan, and Georgia. Probably don't see those changing at all. I think had Georgia not dominated the way they did this weekend, Michigan may have had a chance of jumping them, but I think they locked that in. On that 5 to 8, do you see any shakeup there?
Yeah, I think there's potential for Alabama to move a little bit higher than where they are, maybe in that 7 range. It's going to be obviously hard to jump Texas because Texas has the head-to-head win. Oklahoma has the win over Texas, but I'm looking at like an Alabama versus an Oregon resume, and off the top of my head, I don't know what Oregon's best win is, but Alabama beat a 7-1 Ole Miss team, thoroughly dominated them, and look at what Ole Miss's offense has done in the weeks after Alabama, and then think back to what Alabama did to that Ole Miss offense. That is something that I feel like should be a really big talking point amongst the committee. So I could see Bama as high as 7. And I think naturally, you're going to see teams continue to, eliminate themselves with losses or what have you. And, conference championships going to take care of itself. But I think I could see 7 as the highest point for Bama right now.
Yeah, and Washington has escaped 2 weeks in a row with what – I don't know if did you get to see the Washington game?
I did, yeah, barely escaping Stanford. This is 2 weeks in a row now that they've escaped against subpar opponents, but I think just the undefeated aspect, the Penix Heisman hype, they do have the win over Oregon. It's going to keep them at that point, but just in terms of, play week over week, they've definitely kind of tapered off in terms of consistency.
And last thought on that question, do you think Bama wins out? And, of course, they'll be playing a number 1 Georgia. If nothing else, is that going to be enough to get them there? If Washington, Oregon, Texas doesn't slip up and win out, will Bama or Georgia coming through the SEC sitting at 12-1 be left out?
Yeah, I think whoever wins the SEC is going to the playoff. I think if Bama were to run the table and beat the number 1 ranked Georgia, you have to put them in. The interesting thing is going to be, would a 12-1 Georgia get in over some other conference champions? I feel like maybe so for the historical aspect, but I do think Bama wins out the regular season, and we're going to be talking about one of the biggest games of the year, them versus Georgia for the SEC championship. Absolutely.
Tell them one more time, Kennington, you're going to go into detail on the college football playoff rankings as well as the keys to victory. Take about 20 seconds to tell them where they can find that.
Yeah, on Twitter /X at skinnykenny_theathletic.com, the Athletic mobile app. Search Kennington Smith III or Alabama football.
All right. Hey, that's Kennington Smith III at Skinny Kenny _ on the X or Twitter. Hey, that's Xavier Houston. He'll be back with us every day, and we'll bring DC in to replace Kennington Smith on tomorrow. You be back here, same bat time, same bat channel. We're talking Bama versus LSU, keys to victory, what Bama accomplished during the bye week, as well as the first college football playoffs that's happening all on tomorrow and tomorrow night. We'll talk about it first thing tomorrow morning right here on your home for Alabama Sports. Tide 100.9, 1230 a.m. WTBC. Remember this, trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Roll Tide out there, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9